Um, all right, we continue our journey into the etymology, and the points which I will make today will be about how Artha and Shabda, how the Artha and Vak are related, the word and the meaning of the word. This is the biggest issue, of course, of the whole Indian tradition, linguistic tradition. And some of you may have heard about it or may have studied it also. It could be that some of you studied the relation of signified and signifier, vachaka and vachya, or the meaning and the word. It's quite interesting that this tradition of the connection of the meaning and the word is found in many different cultures. Even in Christianity, we find this influence from Indian vision, linguistic vision. At the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And then what happened then? Something happened, and the Word moved out, traveled away from the God. So the separation on the meaning and the word is the foundation of all our linguistic perception or understanding of how we speak. So we operate within two realities, within the linguistic reality and objective reality of objects. So that's what we touch, see, form. There is a form and name, nama and rupa. If we see some object, we see the object as the form, and we understand that object as the application of that form to any other. So how that object relates to other objects. And that relation, that possibility to relate it, to use it, is within the name, within the comprehensive cognition. So we have these two cognitions. One is apprehensive and other is comprehensive. One is recognizing or cognizing, and other is understanding. Understanding how the object relates to any other object. Why I'm saying all this? Because I want to deepen this topic. It's not just on the surface. It's not about only etymology. Once we understand it deeper, we can really see how Vedic rishis used the power of the word and to manifest the reality, because the word is the expression of the spirit, of our true self. It's a vibration which comes from the depth of the being, and that vibration we perceive, and then we express it in our languages, in our communications, in one way or another. But it is always determining us, our expression. So, coming back to that very idea of the Indra and Brihaspati, where Brihaspati teaches Indra their language, the Sanskrit, but Indra understands that he will never fulfill his studies because of the full correspondence of meaning and sound which Brihaspati is teaching him is infinite, because every time Brihaspati sounds a particular sound, it relates to particular meaning. So everything what Brihaspati says is reflected, projected, manifested in the form. And that is not possible to learn. You have to live it, to experience it in the moment of time. So how to capture the word? How to capture that capacity to express one's consciousness? I'm not sure that we are speaking the same language. Am I understood for what I'm trying to say? Yeah, that's okay. Because sometimes you speak and then you realize that people don't relate to this particular language. I just have to check with you to have your feedback. And actually, I'm quite happy if you ask questions. Yeah, anytime if there's something not clear or you want to clarify on the particular topic. So please don't hesitate to interrupt and ask the question. So these two, how they are related, how Inda captured the word, we are again coming back to it because today is the subject. We will look into the Sporta theory, the theory of disclosure of meaning, how meaning is perceived, and what is meaning actually. So, in a way, yes, the meaning is the most mysterious thing. Yeah? If you ask anyone what is meaning, they would be not able to explain what it is really. What is meaning according to you? What do you think meaning is? Do you know what I mean?
I guess meaning is something which makes sense because the oldest definition of a language is basically a language is a sound with meaning.
Right. Yeah, that's very, very right to say. But what is it?
It's a perception,
It's a
your
perception.
perception about the sound.
Okay. Shailaja, what is it?
Vladimir, I feel that one can understand only as much as one has grown within. So the
Mm,
meaning may be infinite or a particular dimension, but one can only understand the part of which one has lived.
right. Very nice. The part which is applicable to us or may understood by us in this moment of time, needed for us, that is what we draw from that infinite meaning. And that's how speech is projecting that meaning. It is in a particular context, in a present time. Speech is always in the present time. It's never in some other time. Yeah? So there is a difference between language and speech, and this language is made in general linguistics. Language is a set of categories, mental categories, which we can use, and vocabulary and alphabet, all the set of instruments which we can use to express ourselves. Express what? Express something which comes to us in the moment of time, and we must put it into the words or into the language. Why do we put it into the language? Because we want others to understand that message. So we have to share common language. If I would speak to you in Russian, you would not understand me. So we have to share the same language. And through that language, we express something which comes to us. Moreover, sometimes even we express that to ourselves, to our surface being. Yeah? It's not always that we understand what it is. We must put it into the language in order to really communicate it to our surface consciousness. And I'm sure it happened to you many times when you get the idea and then when you express it, you are wondering about it, how beautiful thought is, or how wonderful, how great I am that I can express that thought in this way. Yeah? And that is because we communicated it to our surface self, which is wondering about it. Yes, yes,
I got a small question.
yes,
This is actually a communicating. When we communicate with animals, we don't have any language, but they understand us and we understand them.
yeah.
So without any language, some communication is going on. And that
Well,
also happens in some level in human being also.
yeah, but language is not only
When
the
when when we
system
when we
of,
meet somebody,
yeah,
the countenance of that particular person gives certain impression on us.
definitely.
And that that remains. It is a positive vibration or negative vibration or something.
Yes,
And
yes.
there are gurus who don't speak a word,
Yeah,
but they give the jnana.
yeah.
So I'm trying to get into that sort of thing where actually this thing fits in and how
Lovely.
one can achieve this.
Yeah, lovely that you brought this. That there are many languages, not only language which is verbal, which we are using as English. There is a language of a gesture, a language of a look, a language of silence, a particular silence in a particular moment of time. There is a language of the pause between the words. All these languages, there is a mathematical language. You can express the idea which came to you through mathematical formula, or through music, or through art, or through dance. These are different languages. And when animals understand us, it is because we share the body language. We are actually embodied in this body. They realize how our body speaks, and we realize how their body speaks. They speak when they wag the tail. You know that the doggy is happy. Otherwise, you don't see much. They don't smile much. You can see also a smile on the face of the dog, of course, or something. But there is a body language which is readable by us and by them. And also there are vibrations. There are many more things like vital vibration, being, feeling good today, being peaceful. And these animals read very well. Yes, somebody is saying something. Okay, it's not to us. If you have something going on, you please mute yourself because we are here in the meeting. So languages can be many, and speech. What is speech? What is that? Communication. What are we communicating? Something comes to us and we want to communicate it through some language which is understood by others. Yeah, so we can do it through gesture. In India, this art was developed to the highest degree. There is avadhana. Maybe you heard of Shatavadhanis, Ashtavadhanis. Avadhanam is the feast of the poets coming together, and one poet composes poems on the spot, being given different tasks to compose different poems on different topics, one line at a time with prohibition of syllables. And he composes poems on the spot. There are Shatavadhanis and so on. There are many different avadhanas. Hundreds prichakas are sitting there asking the avadhani to compose poems. And at the end of 2 days at Shatavadhanam, I was present at this feast once in Andhra Pradesh, in Kovuru, near Rajamundry. There is a small town. And they play with these games. Beautiful. The total concentration. Why I'm saying this is that there are not only language, not only Sanskrit avadhanas, but there are also netra avadhana. Netra avadhana, you have to communicate by looking in a particular way. Can you send the message by a look? Yes, you can. We can read this. This is something interesting. It's another language. So there are many languages which we can choose for communicating something which comes to us. And that something which comes to us, I believe, is the meaning more. The word which carries that necessity to express a particular meaning as intention. That which is like a lightning comes to us, like a aha moment. I know now. I know what to say, but I do not know how to do it yet. So I have to select words, wait for words, put it into the text. And it is not totally perfect what I wanted to say. Do you know what I mean? Yeah? Because my words do not really match. My language is not expressing it totally. Here we have a kind of difference between the language and the speech and the message. And that is quite an interesting thing, how to express that meaning. So in the Indian tradition, it was known as Pashyantivak. Pashyantivak is coming to us as a particular need, and there is a need to express, like an intention, like an aha moment, like a flash of lightning, which is addressed in Madhyamavak, in the language. Finally, we select certain set of signs and mental categories and expresses as Vaikhari Vak. Vaikhari is finally a manifested speech. And Abhinavagupta in his Tantra Loka expresses as beautifully. He says that there is not only Pashyanti, there are Mahapashyanti. There are greater Pashyantis behind this small Pashyanti Vak, which is the intention. And he says, for me, for example, to go to the village, that is the intention. I have to go to the village. But before I go to the village, I have to feed my cows. I have to close my house. I have to, and I continue, can buy a ticket for the train, and so on and so forth. Switch off the light. So what are these actions? So Mahapashyanti to go to the village, and these actions in between, they are smaller Pashyantis, which fulfill that Mahapashyanti behind. That intention to go to the village, before I go there, I have to do many things in order to be able to go there. Now this, to go to the village, is also a part of the bigger Mahapashyanti, which we don't see now, but it is there. I go to the village for something. I go to buy food for tomorrow. Why do I need food for tomorrow? Because tomorrow something else will happen. And so, which I don't recognize now in this moment of time, but it is already there. In this going to the village today, tomorrow is already there. Only I don't see it. So in all these Mahapashyantis widen and widen and go to the highest great one and join Sadashiva, the Lord himself. It is from him that the greatest Pashyanti comes, Mahapashyanti great, comes down in small and smaller streams to every one of us in particular moment of time to do a particular thing. Now look at this beautiful picture. This is the meaning. So I like what Shailaja told, that it's in this particular necessity, in particular time, capacity, that we receive something of that greater meaning, of that creation, of that creative force which manifests the whole universe. So this is the understanding of the meaning, which is in the Indian tradition. And by the way, the whole Tantra, the Kashmirian Shaivism, is built on this. Yes, it's the way to achieve liberation, because once we see the intention, the greater intention behind smaller intentions, we understand much more. If we listen not to what people say, but what they want to communicate, what they want to say by that what they say, then we are on the right track to understand the meaning. People speak, but what they want to say is hidden even to them. Sometimes they do not know. They are not aware of it. They just try to find it in their speech. They chew on the speech to finally bring forward to our surface consciousness that what they feel inside. You see, such a complex consciousness which operates through the word. Yes, so with this projection of the meaning into the being, and our capacity or incapacity to to finally express it to our surface consciousness. And this is how we communicate. We communicate to ourselves, we listen to ourselves, and that what we communicate to our surface consciousness is also available to others, that they can understand now. Because if your surface consciousness can understand, then any other being from outside can join that party, that structure which you projected in the language, in Vaikari speech, and reconstruct or construct your language, and through that join to that aha moment, to that flash, to that intention, or to that message. In the university, we had a very interesting subject in the linguistic department on the presumption in text. So what is presumption actually, or presupposition? If I would tell you, for example, such simple example, teacher comes to the classroom and says, for example, Shailaja will go to Chennai today. So the classroom, all the students are sitting, and teacher comes into the classroom, and first thing he says, Shailaja will go to Chennai today. What do you understand from this? What he says? What meaning you can gather out of it? I am just curious how deep you can see or feel the meaning. Some ideas?
Either, number one, either he knows the plan already. Number two, he presumes that she will go to Chennai. Number three, probably there was a discussion, there was some interaction of communication between the teacher and the student.
Absolutely. You're so good. You're immediately to the point. There is so much more. What does he say? He says that Shailaja will go to Chennai today. It means somebody else will not go to Chennai today. Because there was a discussion, there was the whole topic. And moreover, students know about this discussion. You see, they know about it. They were part of it. There was a dispute. There was a choice which was finally chosen. And all of it is the meaning. Not only that Shailaja will go to Chennai today, but everything else around it, deeper meaning. And that is the deeper Mahapashyanti behind. Yeah? So if we can always see the deeper Mahapashyanti behind everything, every event which happens to us in life. Can you imagine that? That why this person, why did I meet this person? Why did he tell me this, what he told me? Yes? You would, if you can see behind deeper sense of it, you will discover a deeper meaning and arrangement of your life, how it is being directed. In every simplest statement and simplest act in your life, there is a bigger meaning standing behind. You know, when they were inventing an artificial intelligence for the computers, maybe I already mentioned this before, maybe not, then they tried to teach computer what is what. Yeah, so they tell computer the book. Computer asks, "What is the book?" You say, "The book is the thing." What is thing? Asks computer. And so on. You say, book has the pages. What are pages? Pages are made of paper. What is paper? Paper is made of wood and forest. What is wood? Forest, tree. Book is to read. What is to read? Who is to read? What is to see? Who is reading? Man. Who is man? Now you have to explain what is man and how it is reading. What is knowledge? What is so? When you say book to the computer, The more explain about the book, the more it is left to be explained. So the computer does not have comprehensive cognition. It has only apprehensive. It needs to know what is what. 1 plus 1 equals 2. That's how computer operates. If that is the knowledge for the computer, structural semantic or the syntactics, what we call. In structural semantics is the syntactics. Yeah. So it's the syntax. It knows the syntax, how it relates to this, how it relates to that, but it doesn't know what it means. Yeah. It cannot know what it means. So when we say a book, we mean immediately all those meanings. They are present at the same time when we pronounce this word book. It means reading, it means paper, wood, forest, production, printing, understanding, knowledge, everything simultaneously at once. Can you imagine this computer cannot do, cannot make the sense of it. It can equalize, it can structuralize, but not. And somebody described to me how they are doing today with computers. It's really amazing. To explain to the computer that computer would recognize the meaning of the word table, for example, they make millions of photos of different tables from different angles and put all that into the memory of computer, because whenever he will glimpse something similar to that shape, he will recognize the table. Can you imagine? You have to photograph all possible tables from all possible angles and put it into the computer in order for the computer to realize what is the table. So computer has apprehensive cognition. It recognizes the form, as it were, through the photo, but it cannot comprehend, understand the form. So comprehension relates to the meaning, whereas apprehension relates to the form. Nama and Rupa, again these two. When I was studying in the university in the Department of General Linguistics, I asked my professor, can you explain to me what is lexical meaning of the word? And if I take table, what is the meaning of the word table? And the professor told me, you look into the dictionary, any lexical dictionary, Lexemos, and you read that the table is the flat surface on the 4 legs, preferably out of wood, and so on. But I say it's a form, it's not a meaning. What is the meaning of this form, of this word? What is the meaning of the word table? Oh, we have to answer these questions before we come to etymology and roots. Yeah, it's not the form. It's not the flat surface with 4 legs made of wood. Something else. What does it tell us, table? What does it tell you, table?
It's a
A
purpose
place
of
where
using
we
the
have
Yes?
usages.
Usages. Yeah. And somebody else was saying something. Yes, Shailaja. Please, switch on the microphone and say. Yeah.
I would say a table is something that, yes, has preferably 4 legs and a flat surface. Yes, that is preferable. But there's a certain relationship of the table with the size of human body, whether it is seated down on the floor or at a certain height, which is, good for the knees, like the chair height. So it has a relationship to the size of a human being, so that the surface can be used for writing, reading, eating, etc.
Nice, long description, yes, of the usage. This is the architect speaking. You can recognize immediately. Yes, it has to fit to the human body. It has to be comfortable for particular activities, action, how to use it. The meaning is in usage. If I take some blanket and cover the on the field and put there food, is it a table? Yes, it is a table. If I take a guitar and turn it upside down and put on it, cover on it, and put some glasses with water on it, it is a table. So the table is not exactly in the form, not it is in the form. Form will reflect that particular activity or that particular need. And what about timetable? Interesting. Timetable is also table.
Tabulating.
Tabulating, very good. Table.
Yes,
I wrote it
that's
in the
what comes.
chat.
Yeah. Yes.
Tabulation is the what comes to the mind instantly.
So there is a particular exposition of things which can be held in their own positioning. You see where we are arriving at, that they are not mixing up, they are not falling apart or into one heap of things. They are expressed, exposed, extended, and held in that exposition in a way which the flat surface provides, basically. Tabla, table, is something which provides a flat surface. This is how it can be used. And the same with table on the timetable. It provides one by one. You can see one by one. We spoke about etymology, that within the sound there is a particular sense or particular articulation of the state of being, because we have this apparatus, and when we articulate sounds, they are associated with a particular psychological state of being. And I was already making this example with the root sta, yes, the other day. Sta is to stay. If you come st, yeah, you can see st, like s is moving as if, and you come to the stop. Yeah? And so the sta, station, sthana, Sanskrit, or any other English words like station, stable, I don't know, stool, station, status, yeah, you will have that general significance, yeah, which is particularly applied in different contexts and creates different meanings. And even such words as stumble or stupid. Yeah, so you will have that meaning. Is it not amazing? We just don't realize it, that we are using the language in a particular way, that that the significance of the sound is determining the flavor or the varna, the color of the meaning. Of the meaning as the usage, as an application, not as an object. And in the Nirukta, Yaska discusses this meaning, this question of the meaning, why the particular objects got particular names or particular, why Ashva is Ashva, yeah? Why the horse is horse. And that is what he brings forward. And he says that Ashva is from Ashu, to be swift. So that is the usage, yeah, to be swift, to be running, to be fast. And the Ashva is the one who is running, who is swift. But then the question arises, why not everyone who is running is called Ashva? That's another very good question. And then he says that a particular feature or particular quality or particular usage can become a name for the particular being or thing. It is describing only one particular usage. Yeah? But the being has many applications. For example, table can be used for many different things. If I put a cushion and blanket on it and sleep on it, it becomes a bed. My table changes its utility, becomes a bed, because I use it as a bed. So the usage has the meaning. So I want to come to the meaning point, where the meaning is derived. If we take Sanskrit Utpithika, yes, so Utpithika is the one who is uplifting, who is the pedestal, as it were. Utpithika. Pitha is that most probably station or stage, which is Utpithika, which is a little bit uplifted from the ground, on which you can locate things, put food or books or whatever, and they will be held in the same position. But Utpithika is only one entry to the table. There are many other entries. I can call it, I don't know, Palakam. It would be that wrong. There is a word Palakam for table. Or I can create any other word for table. So and that is the difficulty of our mind. We have to be flexible in the mind. We can arrive to the same meaning from different angles or from different descriptions of this particular thing which it does, describing what it does. Unfortunately, in our languages, they are fixed and we have to use them to be easy communicating. Because if I start creating my words, you may not understand what I say. That's why I say that Kalidasa is very difficult, because he creates his own meanings from the words. Once you know what he does, it's easy to read him. But before you know what he does, it's quite difficult. He arrives at certain expositions, and you will find in the dictionary that the word means this, suddenly new meaning, because Kalidasa, and you can see Kalidasa is using it in that way. But he is flexible. He can arrive at this description of particular object from his own need to create this description. This flexibility to generate the meanings, to create your own words, depends on one particular thing, the system of etymons, system of simple root sounds. If that system would not be there, we would not be able to do it. Now I'm kind of arriving at that, what I want to speak.
Can I ask you one question, please, at this point?
Yes.
This vast system of etymons, is it specific? Is it particular to Sanskrit as a language, or you find this feature across other kinds of languages also?
Yeah.
So what would be specific to Sanskrit in the context of etymons?
Yes, it is found in every language, in Latin, in Greek, and modern languages, the system. Only it is not seen and not understood in a systematic way as it is in Sanskrit. In Sanskrit, you have the simplest roots and extended roots, and they are all following the same varna, the same color, as it were, the same flavor of meaning. Flavor of what? Of what meaning? Of varna spota. Today I thought I will be speaking on spota theory, but how the meaning is disclosed. But let us examine a little more before we come to spota. Spota is a big topic, and there are many interesting points there which we have to cover. Before we come to this, we have to see how Sanskrit is unique in comparison to other languages. And the uniqueness of Sanskrit system of etymons, or simple root sounds, is in that they're all related in one system. It's first thing. How they are related. They are related in the meaning and sound. The moment sound is little changing, the meaning is changing little. So you can see it in the dictionary. If you open the dictionary, you see that from article to article, the meanings of the sounds or the meanings of the words do not jump suddenly to some unexpected meaning. They are gradually changing. You just try, just open any Sanskrit dictionary, you will be surprised that all the articles, word by word, they are all closely related in the meaning, because the sound is similar.
Again, if I can ask you that, what do you think led to the preservation of the systematic development or derivations of the etymons into different, the various word families almost? So is there any reason within the structure of the language, in the nature of the language, that facilitated the preservation of this characteristic?
First of all, these were rishis who were aware of the sound value and sound meaning. Yeah? And since they were aware of it, that the whole production is the derivation of words and families of words and roots, even roots also produced extended roots. Like if you take u is a root basic, which is also based on simple roots e and u. There are simple roots, e, u, which is known as avati, yes, u is av, becomes guna, but in the first class. But truly speaking, e, u roots, if they are building u root, more complex, which builds the more complex root yuj with extension, yeah, which means to yoke, already yoke, there is something at the end, and then you have yud, yeah, to fight, where two in one are held. So you have extended roots from simple roots, from the simplistic to simple to extended roots, and then the families of words coming through grammar, through different suffixes, and so on and so forth, categories of verbs and nouns and denominatives and so on and so forth, and you can extend the whole language. But still everything comes down, ships to one particular point, root. Where is that root and what it really means? This is the meaning, the proper meaning.
Sorry, just one last, just a last on that. And this proper meaning that is given to the root, would you also say that that is universal?
Yes.
Or is that culturally subjective in a sense?
No, it's a universal thing. It's applicable to all human beings because of this particular apparatus. This physicality is built in such a way that we all have the same jaws, two jaws, tongue, teeth, vocal cords. If our apparatus would be something different, as crocodile or dolphin, we would maybe have different universal. But since we have the same apparatus, so the same effort is made to articulate a particular sound, and that effort is cognized by us psychologically as a particular general significance. So today I wanted to speak about these levels of meaning. In today's studies of semiotics is the study of the meaning. There are three major branches, that is semantics, syntactics, and pragmatics. And these are quite interesting because semantics is unknown, truly speaking, the meaning per se as it is. Syntactics is the meaning which is created by maybe I will project my PowerPoint because these are difficult words or something. Let me find it. This is what we discussed today. Maybe I should go with, yeah, here it is. Three levels of meaning. Semantics, syntactics, and pragmatics. These are three great branches of semiotics. And they study the meaning on different levels, or in different perspectives. I associate them with three major functions of language. They are very beautifully associated with creative, cognitive, and communicative function of language. When we communicate, it is the pragmatic sense, what we want to get, yes, outside in a third-party application, as it were. Syntactics is the meaning within the text, between the words, how they create that understanding of what is being communicated. And semantics is that message which is to be communicated. That pashyanti vak, as it were. Here you can see at the end, pashyanti, madhyama, and vaikhari vak. They are beautifully associated with these three levels of meaning. How meaning is captured, how meaning is expressed, first as an intention, next as a text, that using language already, and finally as a communication, as speech in time, in a particular time and space. So we have three powers of the word: the intentional self-expression, the structural semantics or syntax, which is grammar per se, grammatical structure, with all its tenses, cases, voices, modes, and modalities, and finally pragmatic application and consequences which it creates. So meaning can be approached on all these three levels. There are three Shaktis in the Tantra: Ichha Shakti, the Shakti of will or want; Jnana Shakti, the Shakti of knowledge, which relates to the syntactic semantics; and finally Kriya Shakti, which is connected to the action per se of that expression. There is Pashyanti Vak, Madhyama Vak, and Vaikhari Vak accordingly. So Ichha Shakti governs the Pashyanti Vak, Jnana Shakti Madhyama Vak, and Kriya Shakti Vaikhari Vak. Now you have these three levels of meaning coming from the highest, from the very moment of you got the idea, and then finally putting that idea forth into language and expressing it in speech or action. It can be speech, not necessarily verbal speech, it can be speech of any other language, gesture, look, silence, and so on and so forth. The main thing that the meaning is being communicated. Makes sense? Or it's a little bit away from what we did before. Here I want to show you something important. This is the vision of how these two realities of the Nama and Rupa are connected, or signified and signifier are connected. So there is a signifier, which, it's the word, which signifies something which is being signified, and that is the meaning, the Artha. So Artha creates the form, and that's quite interesting that it is embodied in a particular body, in a particular table. And Shabda stays as a table, as a word. And on the level of the manifestation, on the physical level, there are totally two different realities. I see a table and I can write a word table. The word table and the table are two different realities, though on the highest level, on Paravak level, transcendental speech, they are one and the same. The consciousness and power are the same. And that is the beauty of how they manifest into different realities here. How our linguistic reality corresponds with our physical reality, one to one. If I take sentence such as, I am going home by bus, so I, the subject, moving home is my object, by bus, with the help of bus as an instrumental case, then this is my linguistic reality. If I look at my physical reality, it will be identical. It will be me by bus going home, one to one. So our linguistic space reflects or relates to the physical space in the authentic and absolute identity, in a way. It's quite amazing if you think for a second that we have within ourselves, within our linguistic, within our mind, the same creation which is outside, as it were, and operate within our mind in the same manner as we operate while outside. in the physical world. That's why architecture is possible. You can do the drawings in the mind and then embody them into the physical reality. There will be some correlations, definitely, and correlations will come from the difference in the physical. So if we come from the paravak to Pashyanti vak, and to Pashyanti we can see that they are one and the same. Still, there is already the split between them, the possibility to have vaster Pashyanti, which goes beyond that immediate Pashyanti action of consciousness. And finally, we come to the Madhyama. When we dress it into the speech, we are into the language, we have a split on two, on ahanta and idanta, according to Tantra. Yes, on I-ness and thisness. I-ness, my subjective being, perceiving it, understanding it, using it, and thisness, it becomes as if objective to myself. I deal with it as a form, objectively existing, separately existing from myself. And then finally it embodies into the objects and the words. This sign is the, you have to meditate upon it, that you will have to see how it works through you, through your consciousness. Oh, that oneness of the form and the name, or oneness of the signified and signifier, is being split in the physical manifested reality. Sri Aurobindo has a beautiful description of this. Let me read something here for you, and that would be, and we conclude on this. Let us suppose a conscious use of the vibration of sound, which will produce corresponding forms or changes of form. Let us realize then that a vibration of sound on the material plane presupposes a corresponding vibration on the vital, without which it could not have come into play. So anything which is here coming into play on the physical level presupposes the vital vibration. If the vital would not vibrate there, would not cause the physical vibration, why would physical do anything? Why would my tongue move in a particular way to express something in the vital did not vibrate there before? So it presupposes corresponding, and that again presupposes a corresponding originative vibration on the mental plane. If there was no idea, there was no Pashyantivak, a flash or intention or need to express a particular form or particular meaning, then why it should come to the vital and why it should be done by the physical? The mental presupposes a corresponding originative vibration on the supramental at the very root of things. But a supreme vision, but a mental vibration implies thought and perception, and the supramental vibration implies then a supreme vision and discernment. All vibrations of sound on that higher plane, supramental is paravak, where they are one and the same, where consciousness and power are one and the same. So all vibrations of sound on that higher plane is then instinct with and expressive of this supreme discernment of truth in things, and is at the same time creative, instinct with a supreme power which casts into forms the truth discerned, and eventually, descending from plane to plane, reproduces it in the physical form or object created in matter by etheric sound. Thus we see that the theory of creation by the word, which is the absolute expression of the truth, and the theory of the material creation by sound vibration in the ether correspond and are two logical poles of the same idea. They both belong to the same ancient Vedic system. What does he say really? He says that everything, every object outside is produced by the same power of consciousness vibrating, making the etherical sound possible to cluster, for the atoms to cluster into a particular form and shape. And that particular sound and vibration creates in us, in the human beings or the beings who perceive, have consciousness, the same impression or the same understanding of the object. So the objective form and the subjective understanding of it come from the same force, created by the same consciousness. That's why we have them totally corresponding, the linguistic space and the objective existence, because they are both created by the same force. This is something deep and profound. This is going beyond any linguistic studies. It goes into the studies of consciousness and spirituality. But still, we have to see it in order to understand better the etymology. Okay, I will stop here on this point, and next time we will take the etymological system of the roots. Oh no, next time we will take Sporter theory and then we will come to the etymological system of the roots. Sporter theory is very important. We have to see how it works on each level. Great. Some questions. One question I can handle because I'm already late for my next assignment. Yeah. Yes, please go ahead. Unmute yourself only.
Yes, the thing is, we have talked about language and the meaning of the words, but when we think, we don't think in any particular language. Suppose a person is deaf from the birth, he doesn't know any language, but he still thinks, and he has got some thinking. That is one question. And what about telepathy? Telepathy is without any language. These are the two questions.
Yeah, but thinking is not necessarily something which is not determined by what is thinking. We have to look into thinking. Yeah? What is thinking, what is speaking, how we think, what kind of thoughts we have. Sri Aurobindo says we have two types of thoughts, by the form, image, imagination, and the word. Imagination and the word, there are no other thoughts.
But we don't think in a particular language. We may be knowing so many languages, but when you think something, we don't use any particular language for thinking.
Are you sure about this? Then you think in terms of images, I think. I think we think in the particular languages. At least I trace it back in myself. When I think by words, when I think by images, or I think by feelings and emotions, also I can think by that. What is thought? We have to look into what manas does. What is this manas, this particular faculty of consciousness which focuses our attention on any particular subject or object. And that power to hold on to a particular subject or object is the power of the thought. Once we focus on it, we can focus on feeling, on vision, on word, on language. So we have thinking then going on. Thinking is a particular focal point, holding on to a particular process. So we are holding on to it, and that's what we call thoughts. Particular focal formations of consciousness. We have to come to it again. We will do it. It's a very valid and very interesting subject. Thank you for your question. Great. All the best. Namaste. See you next.
Namaste. Meet next week.
Bahut dhanyawad.
Dhanyawada. Namaste.